Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In a recent podcast on YouTube, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, who is one of the GBC members of ISKCON Mumbai group, was asked a rhino question on the unauthorized Diksha Guru system versus Srila Prabhupada's Ritvik system of initiations. Gauranga Prabhu responded by saying that in Vaishnava Parampara, the parameters for accepting anything as standard is threefold, namely Sadhu, Shastra and Guru. What Prabhu was probably implying is that the Ritvik system of initiations is not mentioned in Shastra and hence it fails the parameter of Sadhu, Shastra and Guru. Well, yes, Srila Prabhupada did say that Sadhu, Shastra and Guru have to be in consonance. But then, that is with respect to philosophy. Now, when Guru orders the disciple to do something, when Guru directly orders the disciple on a specific matter, you do like this. When Guru issues a directive to his disciples on procedural matters, does the disciple carry out research for verifying or corroborating whether the Guru's order is as per Sadhu and Shastra before carrying out the order? Is the disciple supposed to apply the Sadhu, Shastra, Guru principle to the direct order of the Guru when the Guru directs the disciple do like this on some matter? And does the disciple refuse to obey the order of the Guru if he doesn't find any Shastric reference for the Guru's order? Is that the standard of the Vaishnava Parampara? Well, Gauranga Prabhu seems to be batting for that the disciple should first ascertain whether the Guru's order is as per Shastra and Sadhu before he executes the order. And if the disciple doesn't find a Shastric reference for the Guru's order, what should he do? He should disobey the Guru's order. That seems to be Gauranga Prabhu's argument. In response, we would request Gauranga Prabhu to listen to this excerpt from a lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, verses 34 through 36, recorded on 2nd of June, 1976.
But we are singing, Guru Mukha Arana Kuriyam. Do not try to foolishly search anything and waste your time. Here from one of my spiritual master, and that is final. That is final now. There is no question of researching or forwarding when the Guru is speaking. Guru is one of my is speak the right thing, because he has got the knowledge from the right source. That is Guru. Guru means one who has received the knowledge from the right source and distributed the same knowledge. He is not manufactured. It is Guru. Guru is worshipped because he is delivering the right thing. No nonsense. That is good. Why Guru should be worshipped? Asar, very clean or nonsense. Because he has no cheating for him.
So there, you heard Srila Prabhupada himself say that there is no question of researching whether what Guru has ordered is as per Shastra or not. There is no question of corroborating whether what Guru ordered is as per Shastra or Sadhu or not. The duty of the disciple is to follow the order. Simply follow the order. Speaking of Shastra verification for Guru's order, can Gauranga Prabhu please tell us which Shastra gives the Hare Krishna mantra? The Kalisantarana Upanishad gives the mantra as Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But why is Gauranga Prabhu transgressing Shastra and chanting the mantra the other way around? Why is he chanting Hare Krishna first? Can Gauranga Prabhu please answer this? Is it not because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Guru Srila Prabhupada ordered us to chant like this with Hare Krishna first? If that is so, does it not mean that when Guru orders something, disciples should not try to verify or corroborate that order from Shastra? Well, Gauranga Prabhu may say, no, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Whatever Krishna says is dharma, and therefore we chant Hare Krishna first because Mahaprabhu ordered. Well, if you take that argument, then we also have to consider that Diksha Guru is Sakshat Haritvena. Diksha Guru is as good as God, Hari. Hence, Diksha Guru's order is as good as that of Krishna's. And hence, if Mahaprabhu's order overrides Shastra, then Guru's order, which is as good as Mahaprabhu's word, also overrides Shastra. Not only that, can Gauranga Prabhu tell which Shastra says that one must chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna daily? Why is Gauranga Prabhu not researching Shastra to find out where in Shastra it is said that we have to chant 16 rounds daily? Until Gauranga Prabhu finds out which Shastra says we have to chant 16 rounds, will Gauranga Prabhu stop chanting 16 rounds, please? Can Gauranga Prabhu also please tell us which Shastra approves of giving Gayatri Mantra Diksha to women? If it is not there in Shastra, will Gauranga Prabhu tell the GBC to ban second initiation for women in ISKCON, please? If not, then why is Gauranga Prabhu and his GBC colleagues singling out only Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order to seek Shastric basis, while they follow so many other orders of Srila Prabhupada without asking for Shastric basis for those orders? Why this partiality, Gauranga Prabhu, that you will follow all orders of Srila Prabhupada without asking for Shastric basis except for the July 9th order? So, Gauranga Prabhu, when you say that Guru's order must be verified and corroborated by Shastra and Sadhu, does it not mean that you got it completely wrong there? Now, to give Gauranga Prabhu a reminder of a bit of history, when Srila Prabhupada's health deteriorated in May of 1977, he was taken to Rishikesh in Uttarakhand to recuperate his health. The devotees with Srila Prabhupada stayed there in Rishikesh from May 7th onwards. And on the night of May 14th, there was a severe thunderstorm. There was a power cut and there were strong winds, thunder and lightning the whole night. Devotees were all actually shaken up by the fury of the thunderstorm they witnessed. Next day, on May 15th, Srila Prabhupada told his disciples to make his will. This was a clear indication of what was to come. Then the very next day, on May 16th, Srila Prabhupada said that if he had to die, better to die in Vrindavan, and asked to be taken there. Now it was pretty clear about what was coming. Devotees then took Srila Prabhupada to Delhi by car that evening. They stayed overnight in Delhi, and next day, on May 17th, they reached Vrindavan. 5 days later, on 22nd May, Srila Prabhupada said, better prepare for the worst. And he asked for all the GBCs to come to Vrindavan and ask him any directions they needed for the future. It was amply clear now that Srila Prabhupada had decided to go back to Goloka. Based on Srila Prabhupada's message, the GBCs assembled in Vrindavan on 28th of May and drew up 5 questions to ask Srila Prabhupada. And all of those 5 questions were for the future after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. Just try putting yourself in the shoes of the GBC on 28th May. You see, Srila Prabhupada has indicated that he is leaving the world and he has asked you to prepare questions you want to ask for the future. And you come up with 5 questions. Can you imagine the significance of these 5 questions and the responses that Srila Prabhupada gave for each of them? So these 5 questions that the GBC drew up were not ordinary. They were so important. And Srila Prabhupada's responses to each of those questions were even more important, specifically to be implemented after his disappearance. Both Srila Prabhupada and the GBC were fully conscious of the significance of the 5 questions and Srila Prabhupada's answers to these questions. So after the GBC drew up these 5 questions, a group of about 7 of the GBC members took these 5 questions to Srila Prabhupada, and that exchange between the GBCs and Srila Prabhupada forms the famous May 28th GBC meeting with Srila Prabhupada. In that meeting, Satswarup Maharaj read out one by one the 5 questions that the GBC had framed. The third question in that list was, what was the procedure for first and second initiations, particularly when Srila Prabhupada was no longer with us? So, the GBC in this question were seeking a direction, a directive, an order from Srila Prabhupada as to how Diksha will be carried on. What is the procedure for initiations after his disappearance? You see, GBC did not ask a question of philosophy to Srila Prabhupada here. They were not bringing some doubt to him. They were seeking an order, a direction, not a clarification on some philosophical point. The GBC asked Srila Prabhupada, how will initiations go on after your disappearance? And Srila Prabhupada sent out the July 9th order in response about how initiations were to be conducted. Gauranga Prabhu, did your seniors at the GBC body not tell you this? That they went to Srila Prabhupada and asked him how to conduct initiations after his disappearance, and Srila Prabhupada gave that order on the procedure on July 9th. Did the GBC members not tell you this? So when the GBC asked an order from Srila Prabhupada on initiations, and Srila Prabhupada gave a direct order on July 9th to that request from the GBC, where is the question of researching or corroborating that order from Sadhu and Shastra? When Gauranga Prabhu and his GBC colleagues research and try to corroborate Srila Prabhupada's direct order, or rather try to refute Srila Prabhupada's direct order, are they not directly contradicting Srila Prabhupada? Are they not disobeying Srila Prabhupada? Keeping that point aside, Gauranga Prabhu then went on to say in the podcast that Shastra is filled with descriptions of Diksha being the process of Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat and Kuryat Papasya Sankhya. Without elaborating further on this point that he made, Gauranga Prabhu then jumped into how Padma Purana talks of the four bona fide sampradayas, and that all sampradayas have their Guru Shishya Sampradaya continuing. Now, when Gauranga Prabhu said that the Diksha process involves revealing transcendental knowledge, Divya Jnana, and destroying of sinful reactions, Papasya Sankhya, what did he mean? Did Gauranga Prabhu mean that the process of revealing Divya Jnana and destroying sinful reactions happens when there is a Guru Shishya Parampara running? Is that what Gauranga Prabhu meant? In which case, we have a few questions for Gauranga Prabhu. Who, Gauranga Prabhu, in your unauthorized Diksha Guru system, does these two things for the disciples? Revealing transcendental knowledge and destroying the sinful reactions. Do the unauthorized Diksha Gurus do this? Since Gauranga Prabhu is himself a GBC member, he must very well know that the GBC, in all its resolutions on their unauthorized Diksha Guru system, right from 1978 till date, as well as in their constitution, in their recent constitution, the GBC have remained silent as to whether their unauthorized Diksha Gurus reveal transcendental knowledge in the hearts of their disciples, and do they destroy their sinful reactions? Why is the GBC silent on this for so many years? Connected to this point, since Gauranga Prabhu mentioned on the podcast that he was not aware of the details of the Supreme Court litigation between ISKCON Bangalore and ISKCON Mumbai, we would like to inform Gauranga Prabhu that there was a Supreme Court ordered mediation between both the parties when the court was hearing the case in the Supreme Court. During the mediation, on one side was the GBC chairman and about 7 other GBCs and Gurus. As part of the mediation, one devotee from ISKCON Mumbai's side tried to list out the differences in the understandings between the two groups on the Guru issue, trying to somehow come to a common ground where both could agree to the philosophical point. So, our group of devotees was asked who reveals transcendental knowledge and who destroys the sinful reactions of the disciple. Our group of devotees unanimously answered that it was Srila Prabhupada, as he is the Diksha Guru for our group. When the same question was put to the group of GBCs and Gurus, some of them said it was Srila Prabhupada, some said it was Diksha Guru, some said it was a combination of holy name, deity, Shiksha and Diksha Gurus, etc., etc., while yet others said that they simply did not know. Gauranga Prabhu, you are yourself a GBC, so you can easily corroborate this with the GBCs who are part of the mediation. So Gauranga Prabhu, if, as you have said, Diksha is the process of revealing transcendental knowledge and destroying sinful reactions, if that is the process, then why is your GBC utterly confused and groping blindly in the dark about who does this in ISKCON? You are talking of Shastra, but then your GBC don't know how Shastra's definition of Diksha is fulfilled by your unauthorized Diksha Guru system. Why don't you first get clarity on the basics of Diksha in your group before questioning the authority of Srila Prabhupada's rhythmic system of initiations? Well, you see, dear devotees, fact is that when you have an unauthorized Diksha Guru system, you are bound to end up with contradictions and confusions galore. And as far as Gauranga Prabhu's claims of all sampradayas following a Guru Shishya sampradaya is concerned, we want to ask Gauranga Prabhu a few questions on that also. Do you mean to say, Gauranga Prabhu, that as a bona fide sampradaya, we are supposed to imitate other sampradayas? Is that what you want to say? Are all sampradayas exactly the same in all practices? If so, then why should we alone chant Hare Krishna mantra? Because no other sampradaya chants this mantra. In fact, Gauranga Prabhu spoke very highly of Madhva sampradaya. But Madhva matas do not chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra daily. Does that mean then that it is therefore not bona fide to chant Hare Krishna mantra? We would also like to ask Gauranga Prabhu as to which of the 4 sampradayas that he mentioned gives Gayatri mantra diksha to women. If Madhva sampradaya and Sri sampradaya, which Gauranga Prabhu spoke of very highly, if they don't give Gayatri mantra diksha to women, should ISKCON also stop doing it? Actually, is it not childish, puerile, juvenile, jejune to refer to practices in other sampradayas when so many differences in practices exist between each of the sampradayas? In addition, can Gauranga Prabhu tell us which sampradaya has a managerial body which gives no objection by 2/3 votes to Diksha Gurus? If no sampradaya has a GBC giving NOC to Diksha Gurus without authorization from the predecessor Acharya, is Gauranga Prabhu ready to recommend to his GBC the banning of their unauthorized Diksha Guru system since it is not there in other sampradayas? Can Gauranga Prabhu please share with us one instance, just one instance, where Srila Prabhupada used the phrase Guru Shishya Parampara? Srila Prabhupada said Guru Parampara, Acharya Parampara, etc. But never did Srila Prabhupada say Guru Shishya Parampara. So can Gauranga Prabhu please tell us who invented this phrase Guru Shishya Parampara? When was it invented? And why did they invent this? Well, while Gauranga Prabhu does his scholarly research to find out the answers for those questions, we go on to the next thing that Gauranga Prabhu mentioned, which is that there are nearly 36,000 quotes of Srila Prabhupada on Guru in folio. Since Gauranga Prabhu has done this nice research, we would like to ask him how many times out of this 36,000 quotes did Srila Prabhupada say that the Diksha Guru can fall down? Well, to save Gauranga Prabhu time on his research, we will give the number. The number of times that Srila Prabhupada said that a bona fide Diksha Guru can fall down is exactly 0. But we would like to apprise Gauranga Prabhu that out of the 36,000 quotes, Srila Prabhupada several times did say that a bona fide Guru will never fall down. Then, why did the GBC pass resolution number 65 through 84 in 1987, saying that ISKCON Diksha Gurus can become hopelessly entangled in sense gratification, that ISKCON Diksha Gurus can become demoniac, that ISKCON Diksha Gurus can become inimical to Krishna consciousness, and so on, so on? Why did they make all these resolutions? These resolutions are in direct contradiction to the 36,000 quotes of Srila Prabhupada. Since Gauranga Prabhu is a GBC member, can he please tell us why is the GBC directly contradicting Srila Prabhupada? Not only this, can Gauranga Prabhu tell us that out of the 36,000 quotes of Srila Prabhupada on Guru, how many times did Srila Prabhupada say that the GBC can give no objection to Diksha Gurus by 2/3 votes? Again, we will save Gauranga Prabhu the time by giving that number. The number of times that Srila Prabhupada said that the GBC can give no objection to Diksha Gurus is exactly 0. On the other hand, Srila Prabhupada said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 1, verse 220 purport, that mundane votes have no jurisdiction to elect a Vaishnava Acharya. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 35 purport, Srila Prabhupada said, Sri Jiva Goswami advises that one not accept a spiritual master in terms of hereditary or customary social and ecclesiastical conventions. But in their resolution 409 of 2004, titled Continuing the Disciplic Succession, ISKCON Mumbai Group's GBC have said, as a matter of utmost ecclesiastical responsibility, ISKCON's ultimate managing authority, the GBC, regulates who within ISKCON may perform the service of initiating disciples. Srila Prabhupada says that spiritual master is not accepted in terms of ecclesiastical conventions or mundane votes. But the GBC says that their Diksha Gurus are sanctioned ecclesiastically by the votes of the GBC. So we want to ask Gauranga Prabhu, is your GBC not directly contradicting the 36,000 quotes of Srila Prabhupada? Can Gauranga Prabhu, who is himself part of this GBC body, please explain who gave you, the GBC, the authority to contradict Srila Prabhupada by inventing and introducing all these new, dangerous, deviant philosophies? Can Gauranga Prabhu quote any Shastra which says that disciples can override the instructions of the Diksha Guru and introduce new philosophies which contradict what the Diksha Guru said? From this, is it not abundantly clear that the unauthorized Diksha Guru system of ISKCON Mumbai Group, invented by their GBC, is actually based on a dangerous philosophical deviation? Apart from this, Srila Prabhupada said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, verse 54 purport, one should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master coming in the disciplic succession who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is called Diksha Vidhana. Not only this, we would request Gauranga Prabhu to listen to Srila Prabhupada say this in a lecture on Nectar of Devotion recorded on October 13, 1972.
Nobody can be self-made anything. A medical practitioner, he cannot become self-made. That I have studied all the medical books in my home. No. Have you ever gone to the medical college and taken instruction from the bona fide teachers? Then, if you have got the certificate, then you are medical practitioner. Similarly, bona fide guru means he must be authorized by the superior guru. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amar Aggaye Guru Haiya Taro Eidis. He must receive the order from the superior. And the superior must be bona fide. Then he is bona fide. Not self-made.
So there you heard Srila Prabhupada say that Diksha Guru must be authorized by his Guru. We are sure Gauranga Prabhu would have found several more quotes like this from out of Srila Prabhupada's 36,000 quotes, where Srila Prabhupada said that the process of how a disciple becomes Diksha Guru is not by the GBC's votes or no objection, but by the order of his Guru. Can Gauranga Prabhu share any one quote, just one quote, out of the 36,000 quotes where Srila Prabhupada says that the disciple can become Diksha Guru by votes of the GBC? No, not a single quote. Like the 36,000 quotes on Guru, we can find hundreds of quotes of Srila Prabhupada on the functions of the GBC. But out of these hundreds of quotes on GBC, not once, not even once did Srila Prabhupada even remotely hint that the GBC must give no objections to Diksha Gurus. Next, can Gauranga Prabhu please share in which Shastra, in which Sampradaya is there the practice that a disciple becomes Guru without authorization by the predecessor Guru? Srila Prabhupada, however, does say that the disciple becomes Diksha Guru by the authorization of his Guru and that there is no other way to become Guru. Listen to Srila Prabhupada say this pretty emphatically in this lecture on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 2, recorded in Nairobi on 28th of October 1975.
Try to understand, don't go very speedily. A guru can become guru when he is ordered by his guru, that's all. Otherwise, nobody can become guru.
There, Gauranga Prabhu, if you are listening, you would have heard Srila Prabhupada say that guru can become guru when he is ordered by his guru. Otherwise, nobody can become guru. Otherwise, nobody can become guru. That means that the only way a devotee becomes guru is when he is ordered, when he is authorized by his guru. But Gauranga Prabhu, your GBC are outrightly contradicting Srila Prabhupada by saying that one becomes guru by the sanction of the GBC, not by the order of the guru. In their resolution 401B of 1999, the GBC has resolved that the true guiding principle for ISKCON governance must be that in every respect, the authority to accept disciples must be firmly understood as derived from the sanction of the GBC body. From the sanction of the GBC body, not by the order of Srila Prabhupada. So again, Gauranga Prabhu, you and other members of the GBC are directly contradicting Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says that there is no other way to become guru than to be authorized by his guru. But you and the GBC says that one becomes guru by the sanction of the GBC. That the GBC is contradicting Srila Prabhupada is as blindingly bright and clear as direct sunlight. But Gauranga Prabhu seems to be blind to this. Gauranga Prabhu, we have listed so many quotes of Srila Prabhupada which you and the other members of your GBC are contradicting outright. Can you, Gauranga Prabhu, produce any one of the 36,000 quotes of Srila Prabhupada on gurus which can support even one of these contradictory statements of your GBC? If you are unable to produce a single quote of Srila Prabhupada to support your resolutions, are you willing to accept that the GBC's NOC Diksha Guru system is unauthorized? Or is it because you know very well that not a single quote out of the 36,000 quotes of Srila Prabhupada which you mentioned supports your unauthorized Diksha Guru system? Is it because of that that you are saying that we have to look at Shastra outside of Srila Prabhupada's books to support your unauthorized Diksha Guru system? And you want to create an army of such scholars who will speak everything other than Srila Prabhupada's teachings? Is that why, Gauranga Prabhu, you said that although Srila Prabhupada gave nearly 80 books in English, but the level of scholarship in Sanskrit, Vyakarana, grammar and Nyaya in other sampradayas is greater, and ISKCON is lacking an army of such scholars who can defend the unauthorized Diksha Guru system? Did you say that, Gauranga Prabhu, because the GBC has utterly, miserably failed to defend its unauthorized Diksha Guru system from Srila Prabhupada's teachings? We want to ask Gauranga Prabhu that if Srila Prabhupada's books are not scholarly enough for you, then why did Professor Samuel Atkins, Professor Stilson Judah, Professor James King and other such acclaimed Sanskrit scholars, why did they declare that Srila Prabhupada's books were scholarly? And why did Srila Prabhupada himself say this in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita as it is? Prabhupada said, in all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English transliteration, word for word Sanskrit English equivalents, translations and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self-evident. Srila Prabhupada says his books are scholarly, but Gauranga Prabhu declares that Srila Prabhupada's books are not scholarly. Not only this, Srila Prabhupada said in a letter to Gopijana Vallabha Prabhu, dated 19th of September 1974, everyone can become a first-class speaker. Simply cram the purports of my books. The references are there, the philosophy is there, everything is there. So if you do it, everyone will be pleased with your speaking. Srila Prabhupada said everything is there in his books. The references are there, the philosophy is there, and simply cram his purports and one can become first-class speaker like this. Srila Prabhupada did not instruct to study other Shastras than his books. Srila Prabhupada did not instruct to become scholarly in Sanskrit by studying Vyakarana and Nyaya. But Gauranga Prabhu feels that Srila Prabhupada's books are not enough and they are not scholarly enough. and that we need to learn Sanskrit for 12 years and learn Nyaya, Tarka, Vyakarana, etc. And we have to refer to other Shastra than Srila Prabhupada's books. Only then we will be scholarly. Why are you saying things opposite of what Srila Prabhupada said, Gauranga Prabhu? Is the standard of scholarship determined simply by studying Shastra outside of what Srila Prabhupada has taught? Is that the standard? And why do we need to study such Shastra outside of Srila Prabhupada's books? Unless, of course, it is to prove the unauthorized Diksha Guru system right and to contradict what Srila Prabhupada himself instructed. We want to ask Gauranga Prabhu whether such Sanskrit scholarship is important or understanding the essence of the Shastras is important. Is studying Shastras in Sanskrit important or understanding the Siddhanta important? Just in case Gauranga Prabhu has forgotten, we would like to remind him of the pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Srirangam. 500 years ago, Srirangam was a seat of Sri Vaishnava scholars. It is even today. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Srirangam, he found an illiterate Brahmana there, reciting the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Since the Brahmana was illiterate, he was mispronouncing most of the verses. And the educated, scholarly Brahmanas were mocking this poor illiterate Brahmana for his mispronunciation. But the illiterate Brahmana did not bother, and he was absorbed in the ecstasy of remembering how Lord Krishna had become the charioteer of Arjuna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lauded the illiterate Brahmana, saying that he was the authority in reading Bhagavad Gita, and that whatever the illiterate Brahmana knew actually constituted the real purport of the Bhagavad Gita. The illiterate Brahmana was blessed with the correct understanding and realization of the Bhagavad Gita because he implicitly followed the order of his Guru to recite the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. The illiterate Brahmana did not question the order of his Guru, asking why the Guru was giving such an order when he knew the disciple was illiterate. He did not disobey the order of the Guru, saying that he had to first corroborate it with what Shastra had said and what other sadhus had said. His implicit following of the Guru's order revealed all transcendental signs within his heart, although he was not a Sanskrit scholar. But the scholars, the real Sanskrit scholars, had not understood Bhagavad Gita despite their Sanskrit and Shastric scholarship. So we want to ask Gauranga Prabhu, what does this pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teach us? Does this pastime teach us that Sanskrit scholarship is important, or is obeying the instruction of the Guru more important? You are quoting Shastra to disobey Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order. Is that what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught by this pastime? That scholarship in Shastra is more important than following Guru's order? We would also like to remind Gauranga Prabhu that Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, an acclaimed Sanskrit scholar of his times, accepted Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who was an illiterate, as his spiritual master. What does this incident teach us? Does it teach us that Sanskrit scholarship is more important? Or does it teach us that understanding the Siddhanta is important? Did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, by this action, teach us that understanding the Siddhanta is subordinate to scholarship? Or is it the other way around? What are we going to achieve by making an army of Sanskrit scholars? Is the aim of making this army of Sanskrit scholars, is the aim of this to disparage Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order? What is the use of such Sanskrit scholarship meant to justify disobedience to the pure devotee Acharya, Srila Prabhupada's order, and denigrate those who obey Srila Prabhupada's order? As if this was not enough, Gauranga Prabhu goes on to say that we cannot create an entire epistemology based on just one letter. Has Gauranga Prabhu forgotten that every day we sing for Srila Prabhupada, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittite Koriya Aikya? What is the meaning of singing this daily if we dismiss Srila Prabhupada's instruction, saying that he said it only once? No need to obey it. What does Gauranga Prabhu want to convey? That if the Guru gives an order only once, that the disciple must disobey it? That Guru must give his order multiple times, only then the disciple should carry out the order, otherwise he should not carry it out? That if a disciple follows a Guru's order, although it is given only once, then such a disciple must be banned, excommunicated and hounded out of ISKCON? Is the Guru giving order once not enough? We would like to request Gauranga Prabhu to please listen to this lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave on Srimad Bhagavatam, recorded on 15th of April 1975.
Sri Krishna says in the end of the Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, but in another place in the Gita, twice it is mentioned, Sreya Swadharma Paradharma Kayoha. One should perform his own duty rather than another's duty.
Yes. I may say many things to you, but when I say something directly, do it. Your first duty is to do that. You cannot argue, sir, you said me like this before. No, that is not your duty. What I say now, you do it. That is obedience. You cannot argue. Of course, Krishna never said anything contradictory. But if one thinks foolishly that Krishna said something contradictory, no, that is not. You could not understand. So even though you could not understand, you take my direct orders now. Sarvadharman parityajya mame. That is your business. The master says like that, and the servant's business is to accept it as it is, without any argument. That's all.
There, Srila Prabhupada is saying that when Guru gives a direct order, disciple cannot question, Arey, you said in so many places in your books earlier that we have to become Gurus. Now you are ordering us to become Ritviks. How can I follow this order? No, Gauranga Prabhu, you cannot argue with the spiritual master like that. Irrespective of what the Guru said earlier, his direct order has to be followed. And we have explained at the beginning of this video how Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order was a direct order in response to the GBC's question, seeking Srila Prabhupada's direction on the procedure to conduct initiations after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. And just in case Gauranga Prabhu's senior GBC colleagues did not tell him, this is what Srila Prabhupada ordered the GBC directly in a meeting with them recorded on 27th of March 1975.
Direct instruction is important. That's why Krishna in the books, he has given many instructions. And then he says, Sarvadharman Parityajya. If one says that you gave me instruction before like this, how can I give it? That is not important. The direct instruction is important.
There, Srila Prabhupada directly told the GBC that it was their duty to follow his direct instructions without arguing what he said earlier. Are you listening, Gauranga Prabhu? Not only that, from this audio clip as well as the previous one, Srila Prabhupada clearly says that just because Krishna said Sarva Dharman Parityajya only once in the entire Bhagavad Gita, it does not lose its significance. Although Krishna spoke all kinds of philosophy earlier in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gave one direct order to Arjuna, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Then that direct order takes precedence over all previous instructions. In the same way, when the GBC asked Srila Prabhupada how initiations would be conducted after his disappearance, Srila Prabhupada gave a direct order on July 9th. So Gauranga Prabhu, you cannot take that argument that how can we depend on only one letter. That letter is a direct order. Following that order becomes primary even if it is given only once. All other teachings on the matter of initiations become secondary to that order. Moreover, Gauranga Prabhu, we have at least one full letter to support the Ritvik system of initiations. Can you produce one letter of Srila Prabhupada to support your unauthorized Diksha Guru system? If not one, can you produce half a letter? Forget half a letter, at least one paragraph. Forget a paragraph, at least produce one sentence where Srila Prabhupada says that the GBC can appoint or give no objection to Diksha Gurus. Can you? If you cannot, then why are you making such a big fuss that we are having one full letter to support our system? Are you frustrated and upset that we have a full letter and you don't have even one word from Srila Prabhupada, and that is why you are deprecating Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order and dismissing it saying, oh, it is only one letter. And Gauranga Prabhu, what is this red herring you are flinging? that Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order is epistemology. What epistemology? Which epistemology? Whose epistemology? Where is epistemology in Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order? Honestly, one must be really blind to say that Srila Prabhupada's July 9th directive is a Ritvik Vada philosophy or that it is epistemology. Arey, how many times should we tell you that on May 28, 1977, you, the GBC, asked Srila Prabhupada what is the procedure for initiations after his disappearance, and Srila Prabhupada gave the procedure on July 9, 1977. The July 9 directive is the order on the procedure of formal initiations. It is not any kind of Vada. It is not any kind of epistemology. It is not any kind of philosophy. It is a procedure, Prabhu, a simple procedure, pure and simple procedure. Do you understand the word procedure, Gauranga Prabhu? Let us make it clear to Gauranga Prabhu that the word procedure in English is not a synonym for epistemology or philosophy, just in case Gauranga Prabhu got his English wrong. Either Gauranga Prabhu and his GBC colleagues are all completely blind to this, or they are simply pretending the July 9th order is not a directive or a procedure, but that it is philosophy. There is no philosophy in the July 9th order. There is no epistemology in the July 9th order. It is an order. It is a directive. It is a procedural directive, period. And Gauranga Prabhu, if you want the philosophy behind the July 9th order, if you want to verify and corroborate Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order with Shastra and Sadhu, why did your senior GBC members not ask Srila Prabhupada for Shastric reference and Sadhu reference and Sampradaya reference and philosophical reference for the July 9th order right then and there on May 28, 1977, or any time between July 9th and November 14, 1977? They could have asked Srila Prabhupada at that time, no, but they did not. They simply accepted the order and implemented it. Why? Gauranga Prabhu, you should ask this question to your own GBC, not to us. Your GBC did not ask Srila Prabhupada any question on the Ritvik system of initiations in 1977. You did not do your job properly in 1977. What right, what authority do you have to question Srila Prabhupada's order now if you did not ask any question back then in 1977? This raising of questions by you after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance smacks of ulterior motives. Because of the ulterior motive harboring the ambition to become Diksha Guru, the GBC very conveniently did not ask Srila Prabhupada any question on the July 9th order, but immediately after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, they are raising all sorts of ugly, nasty and obnoxious questions on Srila Prabhupada's direct order. This is outright preposterous, downright offensive, straightforward egregious. Well, for our viewers, we would like to share a little bit about the person whom Gauranga Prabhu considers his Diksha Guru. How did Gauranga Prabhu's Guru, His Holiness Radhanath Swami, become a Diksha Guru? Well, to know about that, we have to again go back a little bit in history. Radhanath Swami in the 80s was an ardent worshipper of His Holiness Kirtanananda Swami in New Vrindavan. When Kirtanananda Swami at that time introduced so many deviant practices, like installing a 40 feet tall statue of Srila Prabhupada dressed like Buddha, dressing Srila Prabhupada's Vigraha in the temple hall like a European monarch, asking devotees to wear dresses like Christian fathers, etc., in New Vrindavan, Radhanath Swami was one of his rock-solid supporters. In fact, the GBC initially endorsed the Kirtanananda Swami's dressing of Srila Prabhupada as a European king. But when some Gaudiya Math sannyasi pointed out that a sannyasi is above a king, and by dressing Srila Prabhupada as a king, they were degrading his position as a sannyasi, the GBC then retracted their endorsement and ordered Kirtanananda Swami to stop this dressing of Prabhupada like a European monarch. Then Kirtanananda Swami, to save his face amongst his disciples, invented a beautiful cock and bull story that Srila Prabhupada came in his dream and told him that although Srila Prabhupada loved being dressed like a European monarch, in order to avoid disturbance amongst Kirtanananda Swami's neophyte god brothers, he should stop that practice. And can you imagine? Radhanath Swami fell hook, line and sinker for this fairy tale And Radhanath Swami wrote this in his Vyasa Puja offering to Kirtanananda Swami on September 5, 1983. Radhanath Swami wrote, "Your glorification of Prabhupada in his palace is indeed an offering of pure love and devotion. Prabhupada personally told the movement that he was accepting it as such and that there could be no limit to such an offering. Yet, I have seen how you humbled yourself before your God brothers in this regard in order to maintain cooperation within Prabhupada's movement. Others may not understand, but I have some idea how deeply painful and heartbreaking it was for you to see Prabhupada worshipped any differently. In this selfless act of sacrifice, you have again demonstrated for all who have the eyes to see the pure love of a disciple for his Guru." So, Radhanath Swami also endorsed the dressing of Srila Prabhupada as a European king. And Radhanath Swami could not see the obvious that it was an outright deviation and not at all pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. And Radhanath Swami saw the lie of Kirtanananda Swami as a pure love of a disciple for his Guru. Come on, any newbie bhakta could have clearly told that everything was completely off and that Kirtanananda Swami was fibbing, he was prevaricating. But Radhanath Swami just couldn't make out that this was a deviation. Isn't that surprising? Later, in 1987, the GBC expelled Kirtanananda Swami and New Vrindavan for his deviations. At that time, what did Radhanath Swami do? Radhanath Swami chose to be expelled with Kirtanananda Swami than accept the GBC as authority. Kirtanananda Swami introduced innumerable interfaith ideas at New Vrindavan, including ditching the Vaishnava dress for Christian robes for devotees, giving English names for initiates instead of the standard Vaishnava names, etc. Radhanath Swami still could not see that Kirtanananda Swami's actions were all deviations. Radhanath Swami still worshipped Kirtanananda Swami as a pure devotee. In the year 1990, Kirtanananda Swami was indicted on murder charges and fraud, but Radhanath Swami stood by him. Not only that, over the years, serious allegations have been raised against Radhanath Swami in the murder of Sulochan Prabhu. You can read all about Radhanath Swami's alleged role in Sulochan Prabhu's murder in the book Killing for Krishna by Henry Doktorsky. In the year 1991, Kirtanananda Swami was convicted of racketeering and mail fraud, with the jury not reaching a verdict on the murder charges. Still, Radhanath Swami stood by Kirtanananda Swami, saying that he was a pure devotee. Then in 1993, Kirtanananda Swami's convictions were overturned, but he got caught in a homosexual act with a teenage boy. Only after that did Radhanath Swami's eyes finally open up. Then in the year 1994, Radhanath Swami came back to ISKCON after being expelled in 1987. And promptly, the GBC made him a Diksha Guru. So Gauranga Prabhu, was it that there were some backdoor negotiations by your Guru, Radhanath Swami, in 1994, that if he returns to ISKCON and brings New Vrindavan and Chowpatty Gopinath temples with him back to the ISKCON fold, he should not be penalized, but he should be made Guru? Otherwise, how else do you explain how Radhanath Swami became a Diksha Guru in ISKCON after rejecting the GBC and supporting all of Kirtanananda Swami's deviations? Normally, if anyone did this and came back to ISKCON, what would we expect? He would be expected to be penalized or made to undergo some reformation. That would have been the natural course of action. But surprisingly, Radhanath Swami was rewarded with Guru position for his deviations and rejection of the GBC in 1987. So how else do we explain this strange phenomenon? Anyway, regardless of whether the reward of the Guru position was a result of negotiations or not, Gauranga Prabhu, that is how your spiritual master became a Diksha Guru. By supporting the deviations of Kirtanananda Swami, rejecting the GBC, getting expelled from ISKCON, and then finally accepting his mistakes and coming back to ISKCON. And you, Gauranga Prabhu, the disciple of such a Diksha Guru, have the audacity to question Srila Prabhupada's order? Seriously? Well, unfortunately, This shows the decadence in ISKCON, for it has become a breeding ground for all and sundry, any Tom, Dick and Harry, any yesterday's upstart, any Kalka Bacha, to raise all sorts of questions on Srila Prabhupada's orders and instructions. Well, keeping that aside, Gauranga Prabhu further says in the podcast that both ISKCON Bangalore as well as ISKCON Mumbai are rendering many good services which is appreciated by the common people. And he mentioned the feeding programs of both groups. Again, just to jog Gauranga Prabhu's memory a bit, when ISKCON Bangalore started the feeding program in government schools in India, Jayadvaita Swami went on a rampage, organizing workshop after workshop all over ISKCON, calling ISKCON Bangalore's program a food for death program. Do you remember that, Gauranga Prabhu? How did your GBC's criticism of ISKCON Bangalore's feeding program as a food for death program suddenly turn into praise for a good initiative, Gauranga Prabhu? We are curious to know. Smacks of opportunism, doesn't it? Anyway, continuing Gauranga Prabhu's podcast, he says that the GBC's new mantra is to live and let live. So, Gauranga Prabhu accepts that until the Supreme Court verdict in favor of ISKCON Bangalore, ISKCON Mumbai GBC's policy was to hound and hunt down the devotees of ISKCON Bangalore. Otherwise, why does he say that live and let live is the new mantra, meaning earlier it was not? This actually is a fact. ISKCON Mumbai GBC foisted a false criminal case on His Grace Madhu Pandit Prabhu that he had stolen a bus from ISKCON Calcutta. When this bogus case reached the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court severely castigated ISKCON Mumbai and imposed a penalty on ISKCON Mumbai for its perverse behavior. The Supreme Court clearly saw through their personal agenda. In fact, during the Supreme Court case hearing, ISKCON Bangalore's advocate offered in the open court that ISKCON Bangalore is ready to buy a new bus and gift it to ISKCON Calcutta as a goodwill measure. But ISKCON Mumbai responded saying that they did not want the bus but wanted Madhu Pandit Prabhu to put into jail. So that was their agenda. Why? Why did the GBC stoop down to filing false criminal cases against Madhu Pandit Prabhu? Why was the GBC so bloodthirsty and hell-bent on sending a Vaishnava to jail? Just because he wanted to obey Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order? Is that the standard of Vaishnava Parampara, Gauranga Prabhu? Remember, Gauranga Prabhu, you are part of the same GBC which was desperate as hell to send Madhu Pandit Prabhu to prison for obeying Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order. But Krishna and Srila Prabhupada did not allow your nefarious conspiracies to fructify. So that is why Gauranga Prabhu is saying that live and let live is their new mantra. Because earlier their mantra was live and don't let live. But now they have made the new mantra live and let live. But we want to ask Gauranga Prabhu, how does your new live and let live policy look like? Please allow us to explain how it looks like. Immediately after the Supreme Court verdict, which came in ISKCON Bangalore's favor, ISKCON Mumbai's GBC unleashed a vitriolic smear campaign against Madhu Pandit Prabhu in the public media, ranting and raving that he is a fraud. Just now the Supreme Court cleared all the fraud charges against Madhu Pandit Prabhu. Then why did you go on a media rampage reiterating those false fraud charges? Gauranga Prabhu, you are also a GBC. Why did you approve of such a bloodthirsty smear campaign? Is that how your live and let live policy works? Well then, despite this, after winning in the Supreme Court, Madhu Pandit Prabhu very graciously offered you, the GBC, to hand over all our group temples, and he offered to resign as a temple president of ISKCON Bangalore. The only condition was that in all these temples of ISKCON Bangalore group, only Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order would be followed for initiations. Gauranga Prabhu, let us remind you that you and the rest of the GBC outright rejected the proposal. Is that how you live and let live, Gauranga Prabhu? Again, to remind you, Gauranga Prabhu, when Radhanath Swami deviated so badly, along with Kirtanananda Swami, but he came back to ISKCON in 1994 with just a few centers like the New Vrindavan community and the Chowpatty Gopinath temple, he was embraced by the GBC and made Diksha Guru. But when Madhu Pandit Prabhu offered to bring 50 plus centers under the GBC and did not demand for even the post of a temple president, far less than that of a Diksha Guru, unlike 1994, you and the rest of the GBC rejected it. Why, Gauranga Prabhu? Is that how your live and let live policy looks like? Is that how your live and let live policy works? And have you forgotten, Gauranga Prabhu, that you as part of the GBC have approved filing of a review petition against the Supreme Court order, spending crores of rupees? Is that how you live and let live? Honestly, you could have spent those crores of rupees, no, to help scores of innocent children horrendously abused by the Diksha Gurus whom you and your GBC colleagues voted in. Or you could have used the crores of rupees to help innocent women who have been exploited and abused by your voted in Diksha Gurus. Or you could have spent those crores of rupees to investigate the case of Srila Prabhupada's poisoning. But instead of doing any of those, you and your GBC colleagues chose to spend it on reviewing the Supreme Court order. Why? Because for you, quenching your insatiable bloodthirst to condemn a Vaishnava to jail for obeying Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order is more important, isn't it? And then you come on a podcast and disparage Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order. Who are you fooling with your claims of live and let live? And Gauranga Prabhu, as far as your claims that Ritvik system evolved in the 80s when Diksha Gurus fell down, well, again, you seem to be very poor in history, Gauranga Prabhu. Sorry to say that. Or you have been bitten by the selective collective amnesia syndrome. The GBC of ISKCON Mumbai group, collectively as a group, forgets certain portions of ISKCON history selectively. Madhavi Mataji remembers hearing from a pre-1977 disciple of Srila Prabhupada that there was an Indian Mataji from Mumbai who was waiting to be initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1977. After Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, the unauthorized Diksha Guru system kicked in 1978. But this Mataji refused to accept the new Diksha Guru system, and she insisted that Tamal Krishna Maharaj initiate her as a Ritvik. We do not know what was the compulsion, but Tamal Krishna Maharaj apparently acquiesced and he initiated her as a Ritvik of Srila Prabhupada. This was not the 80s, and the Diksha Gurus were still not exposed for not following the regulative principles at that time. Then in 1980, Rameshwar Swami, who was one of the unauthorized Diksha Gurus at that time, conducted a Ritvik initiation in Los Angeles temple and declared that those initiates were disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Gauranga Prabhu, Rameshwar Swami was a guru himself back then. But you said that the Ritvik system was espoused by devotees who are badly affected by the Diksha Guru system. In what way was Rameshwar Swami affected by the Diksha Guru system? He himself was a Diksha Guru. Then in the same year in 1980, the GBC suspended Tamal Krishna Maharaj for insisting that all his god brothers in his zone take re-initiation from him as Srila Prabhupada was no more. And Hansaduta Swami fell into other problems and he too was suspended. So two Diksha Gurus got suspended in ISKCON in 1980. At that time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj openly declared that Srila Prabhupada appointed only Ritviks and not Diksha Gurus. And then at that time, Bhakticharu Swami and other GBC members took this doubt of the GBC to Srila Sridhar Maharaj on August of 18th, 1980. Look at this conversation. Sridhar Maharaj, qualification, and considering the qualification, he gave recognition to the Acharyas. Is it not? Independent of qualification, whimsically he appointed Did he do so? Bhakticharu Swami. Actually, one of the questions is that whether Prabhupada really appointed them as Guru. Because so far, we didn't find the enough proof to confirm that. Sridhar Maharaj. What is the basis of the Acharyas? Bhakticharu Swami. That is, Prabhupada said that they can be Ritviks. Sridhar Maharaj. They can be Bhakticharu Swami. Ritvik. Sridhar Maharaj. Ritvik. Bhakticharu Swami. Yes. On behalf of Prabhupada, they can initiate. Sridhar Maharaj. During his lifetime. During his lifetime, these 11 were appointed as his assistant. They could also initiate during his lifetime. Bhakticharu Swami. No, not during his lifetime. During his lifetime, they can initiate on behalf of Prabhupada, but after Prabhupada left, who will initiate? Prabhupada did not clearly mention. This doubt is coming up now. So you see, this conversation reveals that right in 1980 itself, within 2 years of the introduction of the unauthorized Diksha Guru system in ISKCON, the Ritvik issue had already started. The GBC knew back in 1980 itself that they were authorized to be only Ritviks by Srila Prabhupada and not Diksha Gurus. So Gauranga Prabhu, please do not distort history by spinning a cock and bull story that Ritvik system came about as a reaction to zonal acharyas falling down in the 80s. Gurus falling down and going out of ISKCON started in 1982 with Jayatirtha Prabhu leaving ISKCON. How do you explain all these incidents which we have narrated related to the Ritvik system of initiations before 1982? It is not the way you are trying to portray it, Gauranga Prabhu, as if the Ritvik system was a new invention in reaction to Guru fall downs. That's not the truth. Whether your Diksha Gurus fall down or not, Gauranga Prabhu, please mark this. That is immaterial. Your Diksha Gurus are unauthorized, whether they fall down or not. Your Diksha Guru system is still unauthorized even if they don't fall down. It is apasampradaya. It is a dangerous philosophical deviation. Gauranga Prabhu, you are making a very feeble attempt to trivialize the dangerous philosophical deviation of your GBC. But when we look at historical facts, your attempt simply falls flat on its face. And Gauranga Prabhu, if you want to contest the authenticity of Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order by claiming that it is Tamal Krishna Goswami's letter, then we should warn you that you are simply shooting yourself in both your feet. Let us for a moment hypothetically assume that July 9th order is not Srila Prabhupada's, that it is Tamal Krishna Maharaj's letter. The first question then that crops up is that Srila Prabhupada said on May 28 that he would appoint Ritviks to carry on initiations after his disappearance. Where is that order? If Srila Prabhupada did not issue the July 9th order, then that order of Prabhupada to appoint Ritviks never came. That means initiations in ISKCON should stop after 14 November 1977. In other words, Parampara stopped on November 14, 1977 as per this claim of Gauranga Prabhu. Not only that, it means that the 11 devotees who became Diksha Gurus in 1978, they became Diksha Gurus on the basis of Tamal Krishna Goswami's letter. And more Diksha Gurus are being added to that list, which originally came from Tamal Krishna Goswami. Which means all of ISKCON's Diksha Gurus are authorized by Tamal Krishna Goswami and not by Srila Prabhupada. That is simply another way of saying that all the Diksha Gurus in ISKCON are unauthorized. So Gauranga Prabhu, if you question the authenticity of Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order, then the authenticity of your unauthorized Diksha Guru system is in grave peril. Gauranga Prabhu, your unauthorized Diksha Guru system is completely against Shastra. Your unauthorized Diksha Guru system directly contravenes the definition of Parampara. Your unauthorized Diksha Guru system directly contradicts Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Your unauthorized Diksha Guru system miserably fails all the tests of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Parampara and Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Your unauthorized Diksha Guru system is a dangerous philosophical deviation. Hence, ISKCON Mumbai Group's unauthorized Diksha Guru system must be banned permanently, and anyone who espouses, supports or advocates the dangerous philosophical deviation of ISKCON Mumbai Group's unauthorized Diksha Guru system must be deemed unfit to be a member of ISKCON, and he must be excommunicated and exiled from ISKCON. As far as we are concerned, we are abundantly happy and content to follow and obey Srila Prabhupada's orders without asking for verification and corroboration of his order by Shastra or Sadhu. We don't need any sort of confirmation from any other parampara to follow Srila Prabhupada's order. We are abundantly happy and satisfied with Srila Prabhupada's teachings without feeling insecure that we are not Sanskrit scholars. We are not feeling insecure about our position and survival in ISKCON because we are not Diksha Gurus. For us, Guru devotion is more important than Guru ambition. Our pride is in following and obeying Srila Prabhupada's orders implicitly, unhesitatingly and with full faith and surrender. Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order is sacrosanct for us. It may not be for you, Gauranga Prabhu, but it is Guru Mukha Padma Vakya for us. हरे कृष्णा। विश्वगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।